three-man weave best bet show here. Of course, that means it is Spinny Saturday. We've all got our caps on. I'm sure you do too, in spirit, chat mob, and everybody out there watching. It is a wonderful day in college basketball. We've got 8 great games on the outline, and there's a big one up in Providence. A little bit of attention being paid out there. We will discuss that game as well. Maybe a fumble by us to not have it on the outline. We'll still discuss it in detail. Don't worry, folks. I'm Jim Root. I'm joined by Matthew Cox, Kai McEwen. Matt, how are you doing? Any takeaways from the week that was? Anything you want to get out there to the people, get off your chest?
Just for today, Jim, a ton of juicy home court situations, right? Providence being the prevailing shining star in that regard. But we got Iowa State, Ames, Hilton Magic, and the Big Bad Beakers coming to town, among many others. We'll talk about them all today. Stay tuned with those folks. And before Kai gives his takeaway, please like and subscribe. That's a mandatory request now for those of you viewing or listening. But Kai, you probably learned something or two.
Oh, you know what, Matt? Wisconsin rocks. I'm going to keep beating that drum. Man, they're good. Number 4 in offense now on KenPom. Wow. The Badgers can score, man. Hey, not your father's swing offense for the Badgers. not your granddaddy's offense. Okay. Also, Arizona. We're going to talk about them today against Oregon. Still really good team. Don't give up on the Wildcats, guys. They're still awesome. Oregon State shot 60% from
Dayton
three.
heads.
Hey,
Beavers,
congratulations. Great win. 60% from 3. Whew. That's tough to beat. Don't care who you are, Jim.
Yeah, Kai, those are actually the two takeaways I had written down. I'm going to start calling the Wisconsin, Mark Titus coined the term buzz cuts. Matt, they're the Wisconsin buzzsaws this year. That's what they are. The Badgers are rolling. That's what I'll be calling them. And yeah, Kai, I wrote Arizona alarm bells question mark because yes, Stanford and Oregon State were ridiculously hot from 3, both over or 60% or higher. But I think Matt was onto something midweek talking about the perimeter defense. The shots are open and they have been bad on the road, 1 and 3.
I done told you.
I'm a little concerned. I'll just leave it there. Kylan Boswell has completely been terrible in their road losses. So there's at least a little bit of concern for me, especially with a big road one coming up today. But we'll discuss that more in detail, I believe, after our first chat mob break. Fellas, let's get into the outline. Let's talk games. Start in the Big 12, Matthew. As you mentioned, big old home spot at Hilton Coliseum. Iowa State laying 4.5 at home. The Jayhawks coming in here, maybe not rolling, but certainly playing a little better lately, mostly thanks to your boy, Mr. Furphy. What are you looking at here? Yeah, -4.5 and a 142.5 total.
Yeah, market loves Iowa State. You can see why. I mean, just as good as they've been at home all season. What they did to Houston, I think, gives you some confidence that they can play like that against a top tier team, and certainly buoyed by the awesome home crowd. You can see Iowa State winning this game by 15. I just have this theory that KU is sort of a buy low right now with the fact that they found Johnny Furphy as reliable fifth piece. Now you look at their performances since UCF, right? Oklahoma, pretty impressive at home, won by 12. Oklahoma State, they annihilated the Pokes. Then they just get kind of outshot in a fluky, I would say, West Virginia game right there up in the mountains. And they come back home and yeah, they didn't kill Cincy. I thought they kept them at bay. I think KU's actually playing better, even though the end of game results don't quite bear that out. I like the Jayhawks at the current number. It's 4-5 basically right now, 4.5. If it hits 5, I might be touching.
There's some 5 out there, right?
I might grab a little taste, a little nibble.
Yeah, this is a classic for me. That's too high spread versus, well, I also don't want to fade Iowa State at Hilton. Yeah, Matt mentioned KU's road woes. 1 and 2 straight up in the Big 12 on the road. Not great. You lose to Central Florida, you lose to West Virginia. We've talked about on our podcast, arguably two of the quote-unquote easiest road games you're going to see in the Big 12. Iowa State, guess what they are? 11-1 against the spread at home this season. They're a wrecking ball, man. To actively want to fade this team at Hilton Magic is, I think, asking for trouble when you have 153 other games in the slate. You have Lipsy back at full strength. I'm not worried, Jim, about the KU's depth here, really. It's not going to be an up-and-down game, in my opinion. Iowa State's pulled back on the pace in conference play. They do have a big edge with Hunter Dickinson inside, but the clones like to scheme. They like to zone. How will KU fare if they go zone? They're not exactly a three-point shooting team. Like I said, at the end of the day, nothing special. It's magic. It's Hilton Magic, Jim. I'm staying far, far away.
Yeah, I kind of went back and forth with this. Like the line, is it telling me that Iowa State is better, or are they giving 6 for home when, like you mentioned, Kai, they're 11-1. They're covering by an average of 10 a game at home. Like they're not narrowly covering. A big part of that, of course, is non-conference blowouts, which will factor into the next home court on our outline, BYU as well. So maybe there's some kind of phoniness to that, but I still believe KU is the slightly better team. So maybe the line's a tad high, but I'm not willing to fade Hilton Magic. Matchup wise, I'm looking at Kansas handling pressure here. They've got one real ball handler. It's DeJuan Harris. I mean, McCullough and KJ Adams are great passers from their positions. McCullough can throw over the top, but you'd really like one more guard that can actually take care of the ball. There's a lot on DeJuan Harris here because Furphy, Timberlake, Elmarco Jackson, I do not trust them against Iowa State's pressure. So a little bit nervous about the matchup. Number would push me towards KU. Matt, I'm not touching this game. And KU's defense has been weirdly not good in league play, despite having 3 elite defenders. I think you can get Dickinson in space, and I think Iowa State will attack him there.
Sign stealing. It's part of the home court advantage for Iowa State? Question mark.
I can't roll my eyes harder.
People are asking. I'm just posting it. People are asking. I don't know. You guys tell me. Just
in my day, they called it scouting.
Yeah. Oh, K-State put someone near the huddle, or Iowa State.
For the record, all of that should be allowed. That goes to the home court advantage.
I agree.
It should all be allowed.
Who cares?
All of it.
Figure out a way to not get figured out that way. Drum Tang complains about some dumb stuff. Just coach ball. You're really good at it. All right. Next up in the Big 12, Texas at BYU. I mentioned another awesome home court here. BYU up in the mountains. They are 9-3 against the spread at home. Mr. McEwen also covering by quite a bit. Texas riding high right now, playing really well. Even got a big road win in the basketball version of the Red River Shootout. Yes, shootout, not rivalry. I'm sticking with that. Kai, BYU laying 7 at home, total of 150.5. What are you looking at in this game?
Yeah, kind of similar thinking here. Spread's way too high, but BYU at home is not really something I'm looking to fade. We've seen them lose twice at home already in Big 12 play, but I think in the long run, I think that does flip. But the fact of the matter is they're still overrated in analytics. They have not played close to a top 10 team in conference play, still very much skewed by their non-conference dominance. The question is, can you trust Texas? They do have 2 straight wins. The OU win was particularly impressive. The Baylor win was too, but they did shoot the lights out. Their biggest strength has been shooting in Big 12 play. And if they're going to shoot 40% from 3 with A. Smith, who can do that, and Hunter, who's shooting a bit over his head right now, you can't really stop them due to Disu's overall brilliance. He's been incredible in Big 12 play since he's gotten healthy. Matt, I have full confidence that Pope will scheme offensively to score at a regular volume against Texas. And Texas defense hasn't been that good in league play, but I actually lean towards Texas at 7.5. I know it's a scary fade for BYU. The number's just way too high.
Yeah, if you look at BYU's only 2 games, they've been healthy in conference, which were their first 2. The Big 12 opener was kind of losing at home to Cincinnati was sort of a head scratch. I think we all thought they would murk in that spot. And then they played really well against Baylor. I know Baylor won by 9, but still it was a pretty good effort. But like now that they have Faust back and Noah Waterman back, who's an absolute gunner. Fus Traore. What is it?
Husseini Traore.
Fus, not Faust.
He played really well late down the stretch against Houston. Like he was a featured option for them suddenly
against a really good front line, right? So I think this is actually not a buy low spot for BYU, but it does feel like a spot where I think you're going to get a really good effort. And I sort of think the Mark Pope versus Rodney Terry thing is worth staying away from Texas in this one. But I agree with kind of numbers a little too big. And I think with Disu's emergence, Texas really has like an inside-out balance. But yeah, we'll see.
This is one where the number's not wrong enough for me to avoid BYU.
Yeah, right.
I'm close enough to close to betting BYU at -7. I just think you get a little buy low for them, and you're playing a defense after Houston. Everything feels like it comes a little easier when you're not playing against Houston. And I was pretty impressed with BYU in that game. They were getting open shots. And then, of course, like I said, they started featuring Traore late when Houston didn't want to help off shooters. And like Houston loves to post double, and they weren't against BYU because they were so scared of the shooters. I think they find more open jumpers here. I think BYU kind of runs away with the buy low, sell high off Texas playing really well lately. Next up, Auburn coming off a loss. They are headed to Mississippi State. Matthew, I know you love these Tigers. You are a believer. They also have as many Q1 wins as me and you. So do they get their first one here at Mississippi State, Stark Vegas, where Tennessee tripped up, or do they reverse the fortunes and, or I guess, lose twice in a week? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough spot, Mississippi State, I think, just because you're hoping Auburn wins that game. You get kind of maybe a downswing in the ebbs and flow here. But now you get an ultra desperate Auburn team who just saw their first real road test. They kind of got that one out of their system. Now they play, a categorically different type of team, right? With how Mississippi State's playing much more inside out with Tolu Smith back. The problem with Mississippi State, well, I want to back them here. Like I said, the spot's not as juicy as I was hoping for. And why is their interior defense not that great so far in conference play? Like the rim protection, I'm not saying Tolu Smith's a liability defensively, but I feel like they had a better defensive recipe when they were playing more Jimmy Bell up front and just the rotations they were using around Tolu. Chris Jans talked about how like he thinks his team is like the most talented team he's ever had. He just doesn't see the grittiness, the toughness that he's seen in typical Jans squads from years past. I don't like that quote. It sort of gives me an identity crisis vibe. I want to back Mississippi State. All that said, just kind of giving you reasons why I did not. I think the number is about fair though, right? Sitting at a short home dog here for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I ultimately decided on that too. Mississippi State also needs this game like blood. They took down Tennessee at home. That's really it. They failed against Alabama. They have played the second toughest schedule in the SEC to date. So maybe we, wait a little bit to see if Mississippi State truly is in disarray, or are they just playing a gauntlet right now? I tend to think it's the latter. Auburn on the road, 4-2 road games so far. Lost at App State, lost at Bama, smashed Vanderbilt and Arkansas. I don't think we really know what they are on the road quite yet, but it seems like they've been somewhat mortal. I agree with Matt, though. The defense for Mississippi State inside has been terrible. Dead last in the SEC, 2-point field goal percentage defense. In practice, they've been bludgeoned. In theory, they should be a pretty good matchup for Auburn inside, for Broome inside. Yeah. The strength, the size, the physicality is there. But I bet Jimmy Bell gets in foul trouble. Maybe Tolu Smith gets in foul trouble. That's concerning. And ball handling is concerning too. Auburn, they hound ball handlers as good as any team in the country. Honestly, it feels a tad short to me, the line. It's a no bet for me, but I lean towards Auburn here.
Wow, I'm surprised by your guys taking the number. I think this should be like around a pick, unless I've not been downgrading Mississippi State enough. But
it's more I love Auburn.
Okay, all right.
I do have Auburn in the clouds in my ratings. That's actually probably why.
I think you could make a case Auburn's like a BYU or Iowa State, where they're inflated due to winning by 50 instead of 30 or 25 instead of 15, which of course matters. But how much does it matter in a road game at Mississippi State? I don't know. I'm going to nervously back Mississippi State here at 3. I think that's a solid number to get for him. I think you get that hype home spot. Matthew, you talked about him at the top of the episode of the show today. I think you should stick to those guns. I'm just a little scared that Auburn's off the loss, and we'll talk about that again in the next game here in the SEC. But for the home team, you would have liked to see them, like Matt said, coming in maybe possibly complacent. Second road game this week. We already got one. Unfortunately, not the case. But still, I'll go with Jans devising something at home in Stark Vegas. Next up, Kai, Kentucky at Arkansas. Sometimes people abbreviate Kentucky Kai, KY, and I don't think they should do
that. I hate that. I hate it so much.
Good. I'm glad that we got that off your chest. I think you're going to get a lot of sleepy efforts on the road from Kentucky this year, especially midweek, and that's what happened in South Carolina. But I think Cal has their attention. His quotes, Kai, were pretty encouraging after that game. Like, we're going to be fine. Like, they played bad. They got manhandled. They know it. I think they'll come out much better in this one. And if they put a run on Arkansas, that team has quit a lot this year. They will roll over and die. So first, 15 minutes of this game, I think, are pretty important. I just think Kentucky's too talented. Arkansas is not connected and together enough to hang around for me. So I would lean Kentucky, but at -7, it's maybe shaky.
I think this Arkansas team's given up, man. Yeah, they're tied with our Tigers, Jim, for the worst ATS record in the SEC. That's 1-5. They have by far the worst cover margin, -13.7 cover margin in SEC play. It's horrible. They can't score. They have the worst offense in the league. They cannot defend. They have the second worst defense in the league. Whereas Kentucky's been electric. I don't know a world where they don't put up 80 to 90 points in this game.
Yeah. Why do I care about the number? What about you're right. You're right. Their
transition's going to be a turnstile. Adu Tierro is likely back. He's practiced the last 2 days. Who knows if he's full strength, but still, you get him back in the lineup. It's nothing but a good thing. And Arkansas is banged up, man. Tremont Mark's not healthy. Trayvon Brazil's not healthy. They're dealing with stuff. They probably play, but they're still not 100%. I just can't confidently back Arkansas. They're a broken team right now, Matt.
They're not getting to the glass. That's my issue with Arkansas. Usually in the past, you excuse some of their questionable shot making with the way they play in, more ISO matchup 1v1 type stuff, because they can go get their tough misses on the board. But this is, Musselman's first year, like the last 4, he's been outside the top 300 in offensive rebounding rate. So like they have no identity right now. Just from a pure technical handicapping perspective, seeing Arkansas as a fairly thick home dog, we'll say, Jim, to a young Kentucky team, kind of think it's a pretty good spot. But yeah, I mean, they've just been they've been so stinky. I'm not going to rush to the counter to back them.
Yeah, maybe this is insane, but I think you either go Arkansas money line, you think they get all the way up and win, or Kentucky
by 20. I kind of like that. I agree.
Kentucky or winning by 4 doesn't feel all that likely to me here. It feels like a game of extremes. Either Arkansas quits and rolls over, or they get all the way up and play to their talent and are healthier than they seem. Kai's point on the injuries is massive. Mark has been their lone real efficient offensive initiator, and he missed last game. Migraines, apparently. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on their status.
Excedrin helps.
Also huge. Yeah. All right, Kai, you are my chat czar. Let's get into that. Before we do, hit some thumbs up, folks. 150 games today. I want to see 150 likes on the video. We appreciate it. So, all right, Kai.
With the viewership going right now, we should hit it, Jim. Well, guys, you know where we're going to start here. We're starting at Providence in Georgetown. You've seen it on Twitter already. The atmosphere is going to be insane for Ed Cooley's return to Providence. Me personally, Matthew, bloodbath. Providence by 1 million.
Yeah, market disagrees. It's coming down to 10 at some shops.
Really? Really?
Yeah, I want to make sure there's not injury I may have missed from Providence. I don't believe so, but I feel like it's not a team that's a great favorite.
We talked about out, Matt. Have you
right, which we've all known. I just think that this money is a little bit foolish. Like I know Cooley's been good at a dog historically, but I don't think in this spot it's the time to back him as a dog.
Well, I tell you what, he hasn't been good as a dog in the Big East. They've been getting rolled consistently.
Yep. I think Georgetown sucks
at Georgetown.
That's
I will add to that point. Cooley 145 and 108 as a dog. Great, 57%. Awesome. Cooley as a road dog, 94 and 61, 60.6%. Awesome. Cooley's a road dog of 10 or more, only 19 and 20. So when he's a big road dog, that's 40 game sample. It's not nothing.
When you don't have a chance to win the game, probably is kind of
how much more coin flip. Yeah, and I think they're walking into a buzzsaw. Young team could melt under that environment. So
good data work, Jim. That's good.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm with Kai especially. I think it's a Providence smash.
All right, boys, let's do it. Let's get into the meat of the chat mob here. We'll go as quickly as possible. We got a twofer from Ethan. Jim, I'll go you first. Nebraska and Maryland. Maryland hosting the Huskers. I'm seeing 4.5s, 5s, 5.5s in favor of the Terps.
I like these teams. I like Nebraska when they're at home. Don't like them on the road. I like Maryland when they're at home. Don't like them on the road. So I lean Maryland, but I'm not laying 5 with that Garbaggio offense. It's Jameer Young or nothing basically at this point. So I can't lay it, but Big Ten home teams have been great. 60% against the spread right now.
Matt, you get an Ivy League battle. Princeton is at Cornell. Princeton, laying laying 2.5 points on the road.
It does feel short, but every time I say that with Cornell, they tend to cover. I think this is the one game though where Princeton probably gets them, and you're actually getting a cheap price for the first time in like forever.
Yeah.
To back Princeton, like a really good team. We talked about how Cornell has not been as good in conference the last 2 years under Earl as they have been out of conference. Although this year, I mean, waxing Columbia, they beat Penn by 17, and then they squeaked by Brown, but still, like maybe Earl's got something up his sleeve this year where he has like some Ivy only counters that he didn't have the last couple of years. I still lean Penn though at the current price.
Matt,
Princeton.
Matt, I'm sticking with you because I think you have an opinion in this game, and the question is from Matthew.
I always have opinions.
UNC at Florida State. UNC the wagon versus Florida State. A little bit feisty recently. Money's come in a bit for the Noles, plus 6.5 at home.
It is a best bet for me, Kai. I have 3 best bet vintage home doggies today. I think the Noles are this is a vintage Florida State, just shoots the crap out of the ball. Their athletes rise and they make UNC look mortal for once in what feels like a month. Also, UNC teams will eventually shoot better than like 20% from 3 against them. I think this is a great spot for the Noles, who are trending up, as we've seen, to get a home one here. Yeah, I love the Noles at home. Home doggy.
Yeah, UNC fans are getting their licks in now, man. But I'm telling you, once opponents start shooting over 29% against you from 3, then we can talk.
In league play, it's 22%.
So.
They are very good. They are not.
They are very good. They are very good. But what I'm hearing is just like, guys, reality check here. Jim, you get Matt's alma mater, Duke. You didn't go to Duke. Duke is hosting Clemson. -7.5, -8 for the Blue Devils.
I would have gotten
Feels
in
tad
there.
high to me. I think Clemson hangs around. They won at Alabama. This team's not like crazy intimidated on the road. Duke hasn't been a complete buzzsaw, and they're still kind of figuring out getting Roach healthy. Mitchell's been good lately, but when he's in there, I like Clemson.
Big Ten battle. The Ohio State Buckeyes are coming to Chicago. Well, Evanston against Northwestern. Northwestern's laying a field goal, -3.5. I'll tell you what, Ohio State's been bad on the road this season in Big Ten play, but they have led in the second half, usually late in the second half, 3 of those 4 games. I think eventually it's going to click. I know Northwestern's been money at home this season. I kind of lean towards the Buckeyes. I know that's not the opinion you guys share, though.
Yeah,
I
Northwestern
don't.
is
Yeah.
off OT win though. I would just I need a great reason to want a Big Ten road team, and I don't have a great reason there.
Yep. Matthew, VCU at Davidson. VCU laying 1.5 on the road.
ECU's been great. I know Zeb Jackson has been out, but I don't think he matters a lot. This team's deep now, and they kind of have the right, concoction of players back with Bamisile and Bairstow back in the mix. They've been defending really well too. I just like everything about VCU right now. I lean VCU. I also like the over. I think there's a lot of points in this game. 139.
Yes, I lean your way. Jim, you get Boise hosting Utah State. Boise -2.5, -2. If you say anything about unranked versus ranked, I'm going to just reach through the screen and throttle you.
I won't speak. Well, can I say that it's dumb and not a reason to
may.
ever bet a game?
You
All
may.
right, good. Yeah, that has no bearing on the game at all. It is made up and whatever. That is the unranked team laying points to a ranked team. Doesn't matter. I kind of like the under. Boise's been playing slower in league play. They've got a bunch of big mobile athletes to throw at Asabor. Maybe not like the true anchor center. Like if they still had Armush, that big broad-shouldered Leviathan, that'd be better. But I just prefer the under here. I'm not gonna bet aside.
Osabor was not 100% last game. I'm sure he's fine for today, but we've seen some of these like kind of minor injuries that linger for a game and guys are all of a sudden out the next game. I would keep like Kadari Richmond for Seton Hall. Keep an eye on Osabor maybe being a late scratch today.
All right, speeding through still. Matthew, Murray State hosting SIU. Murray's up to -3 right now at home. They rock at home. SIU not usually good on the road. Your thoughts?
You just said my thoughts. I like Murray State. I think 4 is a little bit of a you're paying a premium if you really want to back the Racers at home. And I still don't trust Murray all the way. I know they played better. I still think they're too up and down for me to pay a tax for the good home spot.
Jim, our dude Red in the chat, Toledo, Bowling Green, a huge rivalry, apparently. Toledo -6.5 now I'm seeing out there.
Repping the Rockets for Red/Ed, his alma mater. Yeah, I lean Toledo, but Bowling Green has been very feisty. Todd Simon's got a pretty good group, and they might be getting healthier. So that's not like a hammer home run bet. It's just I wanted to wear the Toledo shirt.
I appreciate Jets Pete for diving in the garbage here. Asheville is playing Chuck South. Asheville's on the road. They're laying now 10.5, taking a little bit of money here. Matt, any opinion on the Big South game?
Absolutely not. I've been kind of focusing to my Matty Maines identity. I really haven't been tracking the extras. I'm sorry, but I do lean Asheville.
Over,
I
says Jim.
Asheville over. Boom. There you go. 2 locks.
Jim, do you have an opinion on Merrimack laying 9 or 10 on the road against St. Francis?
Too high. St. Francis has been very feisty at home. They just knocked off Sacred Heart. They started an all freshman 5, which is kind of wild. I think the only one that's happened in the entire country this year. So maybe you don't get 2 good efforts in a row for them. And that Merrimack zone could be tough for a bunch of freshmen to figure out. But I do lean to the home team there, the Red Flash.
All right, Matt, here's one more in your wheelhouse from David. Cincinnati hosting UCF, the 2 of the 4 newcomers in the Big 12, -6.5, -7 for Cincinnati.
The price is right for me. I don't really trust either team. I watched Cincy last week. I'm sort of souring on my Cincy love. I think I kind of I pumped that propaganda into the ether. I'm kind of backing off it. So I like UCF maybe as a road dog. They're feisty, defend. They're long up front. They can kind of combat what the Bearcats offer.
Feels a lot for Cincy to lay in what should be a rock fight.
Jim, the Big West has confused me this season. Long Beach is on the road at UC Riverside. I don't think that's far travel. Matt will check with your California geography later.
I will.
But Long Beach -1, -1.5. Your thoughts?
Maybe a bounce back for the Beach. They just lost the rivalry game with Irvine, the LA area. I think that probably has them a little down, but I don't think they let down after that. I think they bounce back. Riverside's got 2 very good guards and not a lot else to them. I think Beach is more talented, so I'd take Beach. Matt,
you get your Oregon State Beavers. That's right. Okay. They are plus 2.5 at home against Arizona State. They were 18-point dogs to Arizona 2 days ago.
And they won, baby. They have Jordan Pope on their team. Arizona State does not. I think the line is very short. I'm with you on that
It's
one.
extremely short.
It's
But
a
if you want
bad
to back,
spot for them too.
it's a bad spot for them too. But I don't know if you want to back this Arizona State team, which we all saw with our own eyes in person, and we're starting to see some of the pumpkin come to life here lately. Yeah, okay. I'd say good luck to you. That's all I'm going to say. I would not be rushing to back Arizona State here. I wouldn't.
Okay, last one, then we'll get back to the rundown here. A lot more chat questions to hit. If you're not, we have another section of that. Western Michigan and Central Michigan. I liked Western Michigan here. Now, there was a comment here saying Western Michigan's been killing the bad MAC teams. Central Michigan's not bad. 5-2 in the MAC. They've been excellent in league play. Western Michigan has been as well. MAC's tough to figure out right now. It's the drunkest conference in America. But I lean towards Western Michigan here at -3.
It's a bad conference this year. It's just down.
Leading their way too. Javonte Brown has been great since getting eligible, and it seems like B. Artis White is a little healthier.
Yeah.
I don't know. He only played 23 minutes last game, but looked good.
He got hurt 2 games ago. I think they're kind of managing his minutes, but yeah, I think he's still healthy-ish from what I've seen. Yeah.
Okay, Jim. Wow, let's get back to the rundown. Again, plenty more in the holster here, but we carry on.
Beautiful. You just mentioned Arizona and Oregon State. Now Arizona has to go on the road again. The other part of that Oregon trip. Into the woods, Matthew. The Ducks are getting 4 at home. Arizona's taking a little money. I don't know why people are betting Arizona on the road. That makes me nervous against a healthier team. Total is 157. It's been bet down from 160.5 at circa. I actually kind of agree with the under money, Matthew. Dante has been huge for them. 14 points better per 100 possessions when he's on the court defensively. So that matters to me. What do you think about this game? Does Arizona bounce back?
No, it's funny. I think I took both. I did take both Oregon's and Oregon State's in the home, even though they both lost, or sorry, they both won last game. They both won on Thursday. I don't think the bounce back reversal helps either road team here. I'm with Kai. I think Arizona's still very good, but I mentioned their defensive miscues on the perimeter. I also think Oregon, this version with the size up front, as Jim talked about, is fairly scary. I think this is sort of a game where they think they have to kind of prove that they're back and they're real now with their full cast of characters. Kai, I like the Ducks. Some fun two-way tug of war here in the market where it's now back to 4. I think I saw it go down to 3 early this morning. I am on the Oregon +4 money.
I'll say this, the Pac-12 race is dicey right now. Oregon can take a pretty nice lead if they win here, go to 7-2, and Arizona would fall to 5-4, which is yikes town. Now, Ken Pom still projects Arizona to win this league by 2 games. I kind of lean that way still. They have the number 1 defense in the league, Arizona, despite allowing the highest 3-point percentage in the league. Dead last, 38% from 3 against opponents. That tells me how good they are in other areas and how efficient the conference has been, because Arizona really hasn't been that great on defense. Oregon can definitely light it up. They have a ton of shooters. Is it scheme? Is it personnel? Is it luck that's hurting Arizona on the defensive end from the perimeter? I'm not sure, but the Ducks likely can't exploit it. Matt mentioned Dante. He will be key against Ballo, but he really doesn't stretch out Ballo, right? That's where Ballo's been struggling in space. The Ducks not really a pick-and-roll heavy team. Arizona after a loss, guys. Here are the stats. Purdue loss, beat Bama by 14 next game. FAU loss, beat California by 19 next game. Stanford beat Colorado by 47. Washington State beat USC by 15. They're 4-0 against the spread after a loss. I lean towards Arizona. They're too good.
Also of note, real quick, shout out to Jordan Majeski. Tommy Lloyd, Kai, as you kind of alluded to, has not lost back-to-back games at Arizona.
Ever?
So,
yeah.
Wow.
That's very noteworthy. I'm confused what to do with the 3-point shooting here because Oregon's at 42% in league play. So either they get the open shots that Arizona's been giving up and nail them, or you get kind of two-way regression where Arizona's defense and Oregon's offense are both due for coming down a little bit. So that's kind of a big part of this handicap, and I have a hard time predicting 3-point percentages. So I am not going to jump into this game. I need Arizona to win for some Pac-12 futures, though. So go Wildcats. I'll be cheering hard for Arizona. Staying in the Pac-12, Washington State hosting Colorado. 2 bubble teams here, actually. Colorado, the first team out, according to Bracket Matrix. Washington State a little further down the list, but they've got a chance, Matthew. They've actually been playing well enough to potentially sneak into the Big Dance Field. They've got that win over Arizona under their belts. Now they are -1, very slight favorite here at home. Total of 144.5. What are you looking at?
Best bet number 2 for Matthew, Washington State. I guess there's a theme with my picks today, taking some home cooking squads. And I like Data right here, hosting the Buffs coming off the, coming down from altitude, I should say. I know Colorado's healthy. I know they've been playing better. But I still think their road home splits are pretty stark, and it's not a team I'm terrified to fade away from home. Washington State has the size, physicality up front. They're a little healthier now. I know Yesufu's still not back yet, but I mean the way Miles Rice is playing, they don't need him. I mean he's just been that good, and I think their wings and their bigs up front have complemented them very nicely. We talked about Jalen Wells being an X factor, former D2, stud All American, kind of a Swiss Army knife. I just like the recipe that Kyle's got working right now. I'm laying the small price, -1. Kind of shocked they didn't take more money. I guess people really respect Colorado more than I do.
Yeah, and Washington State achieved revenge from Utah. Can they do the same against Colorado? Game 1, Colorado led the entire way, but Wazoo cut it to 1 pretty late. There's a caveat. They didn't have De Silva in that game. Does that scare you as a Wazoo backer? It does me a little bit. This team, they feel like they're on the cusp of being very good, Washington State. They have so much size. That's huge against Colorado, a team that's built on rim attack. Number 4 in the country in field goal attempt rate at the rim, Colorado is. Washington State, number 6 in field goal percentage allowed at the rim. It's very, very tough to score there. Neither team really shoots. It's basket attack, free throw line, Wazoo through the post, Colorado through cutting, the Boyle ball specialty that we all know and love. I think Miles Rice is the difference, though, like Matt said. Best game breaker on the floor. He can take over. Simpson's great. I think Rice has the edge. I like Wazoo as well, Jim.
Yep, I like Wazoo. If I want to back Colorado, it's going to be at home. They're 1-4 against the spread on the road. The margin is misleading because, like Kai said, they lost to Arizona by 47, but they have not been good on the road, and they've been much better at home. I like Wazoo here as well. Great at the rim stats from Mr. McEwen. That's good prep, folks.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Yeah, Wazoo for me. KJ Simpson versus Miles Rice is going to be a lot of fun. Very excited for that.
Yep.
All right, staying out west. Kai, you mentioned Washington State getting revenge on Utah. They're headed to Washington now. And man, I just kind of threw my hands up at this game because Utah might be missing 3 starters. Brandon Carlson got elbowed in the face last game too. Are they just too injured to even consider backing them? They are a slight road favorite right now with a total of 158.5.
Yeah, without Worcester and Lovering and now Smith, who might be hobbled, bad ankle, game time decision, I can't back Utah. In my head, this is a huge coaching mismatch, right? It's Craig Smith and Mike Hopkins. Hopkins is 4-1 against the spread against Smith. That's shocking to me. He's 4-1 against the spread. Game 1, Utah won by 5 on New Year's Eve. Up-tempo game, 83 possessions. Utah was 10 for 22 from the free throw line, but they were scourging from deep. It's hard to see Utah repeating that same outside shooting effort without maybe Worcester and not 100% Smith. It's hard to see the ball handling being as crisp without those two. Washington had no trouble scoring in game 1. Utah's transition defense has not been very good this season. They give it up a lot, and they're below average at stopping it. I kind of lean towards the Huskies here.
I agree. I talked about how Frank Kepnang's been such a key part to the Washington defense. They've been tough at defending the rim, tough in a bad light, not in a tough, good light. So, and obviously Utah's a team that can exploit that, but the injuries are pretty dire, as you guys talked about there. I just like Washington here at home. You kind of be like to be catching like 2 points, maybe 3. But still, I this is one where I think the tax on the spot and the home team is worth paying. I like the Huskies here, Jim, in sort of a shootout. Kai, you mentioned the Hopkins versus Smith stats. Key thing this year is that they're playing much more man-to-man, and I think the zone was actually a good kryptonite to Craig Smith's really good offensive stuff and man-to-man in the past, or sorry, a zone in the past. This year, I actually think that edge works in the favor of Utah. Still, I like Washington.
Washington covered game 1.
Utah's just too hurt. That's the problem
right.
for me. If you're going to have 3 starters either not in there or banged up, no Lovering has been kind of compensated for by how good Keita has been. But if they don't have Smith or Worcester, or if they're both really banged up, those are your 2 offensive creators. And without that, I just can't back them. And like Colorado, they are 1-4 against the spread on the road with a very bad cover margin. So yeah, I think those mountain teams are different on the road. Don't want to back them when they're away from the altitude. All right, last one on the outline. 2 undefeated A10 squads here. Kai, I'm going to go to you first. Dayton at Richmond. Dayton laying 3 on the road. They've been rolling, one of the nation's longest winning streaks. Richmond's been terrific in league play, though. Dayton -3, 133.5 is your total.
Yeah, mid-major doozy, man. The winner is the sole leader in the A10. Dayton's projected as a 3 seed right now. They're a rocket ship. Holmes is number 2 in KenPom Player of the Year. Nation's longest winning streak. Yeah, Jim. They've been incredible. Richmond, though, has also been good. Very, very good. They're doing it with defense. Number 2 in the A10 in defense in conference play. They shut down the paint. They don't foul. They rebound the hell out of the ball. That's a pretty good combination. The problem is, guess who's number 1 in defense? It's Dayton. And the Flyers can score. Number 1 offense as well. Richmond very much struggled this season on the offensive end. This is going to be a low-scoring game, defensive battle. I expect fully Richmond to take the air out of the ball. Chris Mooney is a very smart coach. He knows lower possession game equals higher chance for Richmond to win. Dayton's allowed over 70 points 3 times in 18 games. Richmond just twice in the past 8. I like the under a lot in this game, Matt. I think Dayton finds a way to cover like a 65-58 type of game.
I do lean Dayton. I just think it's one of the few times you're going to have to actually back Dayton, a really good team at a pretty cheap, affordable price, and a spot that's not like awful against a team that I think is maybe overvalued. So all that sets up for me for Dayton. I think the matchup thing, though, I mean, Neil Quinn is a really good defender. He's not like a terrifying leaper, but I think instinctually he's very good. Mooney's talked about that all season. It's him kind of be the linchpin of that defense. They can also force turnovers, right? Like Richmond's pressured more this year because they have some athletics, some speed on the perimeter. I mean, Dayton's taking care of the ball very well this year, but obviously they don't have a true point guard per se, and not one I fully trust. As good as those guys have been, you can maybe see some ball security issues emerge here on a tough spot on the road. Finally, the Jordan King factor scares me for Richmond. I faded Richmond a few times. I just keep forgetting or not accounting for how good he is. Dayton's going to pack it in, Jim, make you shoot jump shots, tough ones from far out. Jordan King is a deep, tough shot maker. Again, another potential counter to the way that Dayton is structured. So all that is a stay away from me.
Yeah, King's the one you got to extend on. And on the other end, though, Neil Quinn, yes, great inside, but Deron Holmes has hit a 3 in 5 straight games, nine threes in 5 or in the last 5 games, over 40%. Like if he pulls Quinn away a little bit or gets him out on the perimeter, we can put it on the floor. I don't think Quinn's mobile enough to guard him, and that opens up drives, cuts. Dayton's offense has been humming. It's really hard to be the best offense and best defense in a league, much less one with as much parity as the A10 has. Dayton is really rolling with as well as Richmond's playing. I'm gonna stick with the Flyers there. Not super excited to back it, but I would be a Dayton better if I had to be. All right, Kai, I know we have a million chat questions.
Yeah.
So we will get back into those. We did hit triple digits on likes on the video, so let's keep that rolling.
We should get to 150, guys. Yeah.
117 with 300 people watching. So come on.
This
hit that button.
I think this is our biggest, most viewed stream of the year. So thank you for that. Let's hit 150 likes, guys. What do you say? We got the viewership in here. Let's do it. Why not? All right, chat mob. We got some time. Let's rattle through. We're starting with Gifford. Mr. Gifford is asking about a doozy of a game in Hampton. And Elon, a couple people like the over in this game, Jim. Elon is laying 1.5 on the road.
I don't trust either of these teams as far as I can throw them, and I can't throw them very far. So, yeah, I'm staying away and aside. It does feel like points to me, and neither defense is much of worth discussing. Hamptons especially, they just give up runs like crazy. So, yeah, lean towards the over. Absolutely no take on the side.
Matt, you've been a bit of a wacky guy this season, a bit of a whackster. UT Arlington is hosting Grand Canyon. Yes. They are plus 5.5 at home hosting the Lopes. Thoughts?
I did fade GCU to a tie, I should say. It took +2 with SFA on Thursday. SFA should have won that game, by the way. I won't gripe about it here, but I do think UTA is another good bet here to fade GCU. Tough road trip. These have been really tough road trips for these WAC teams this season. Every coach talks about it in their post-game presser. The line does feel short, and UTA is without, I think, Aaron Cash still, kind of a pretty important forward, and a guy you probably need to match up with the wings and size of the Lopes. But I do think UTA at home, KT Turner, they're athletic. I think they rise for this game. Philip Russell back healthy. Knock on wood. I'm sure there's a late surprise. He won't be in the lineup, but I think they win today.
Jim? Oh, it says the over. Jim, this is the third game that is in the Big 12 as well? I can't remember the first two, but the third one, yes, it is. The third Big 12 game that I say spread too high, but I'm not fading Houston at home. Houston is laying 15 at home against Kansas State, a team that I don't think is that bad. Your thoughts?
Best bet, Houston, -15.
Oh,
3.
Okay.
I don't think it's too high. I think I'm giving like 5 or 6 for home here. And K-State's offense has problems. They cannot create good looks. They've got a little bit of ball handling concerns. And you're going to play Houston? That's really scary to me. I think this is one like West Virginia at home, like UCF, where Houston can just rip them apart. So you could maybe go K-State team total under if you wanted to, but I think this is a blowout. I'll take Houston minus 15.
All right, Matt, Big Ten home. Michigan's hosting Iowa. Michigan has, I think this was pick, but now they're at -1.5. Geez, man, that seems short to me, but Michigan, who knows? Your thoughts?
It does seem short, but Michigan's Michigan. I don't trust them, and I backed Iowa way too much this season. And I'm kind of sick of Iowa as well. I don't like either team. This is a very easy stay away for me. Pass.
Say another question from, I wrote that down, Samuel. Monmouth. Hofstra is visiting Monmouth. Short spread here, Jim. -3.5, -4 on the road at the Hawks. Thoughts?
Can't figure out Monmouth. They've been very good, led by Xander Rice. Hofstra hasn't been quite what I want them to be, but I did win a best bet with them this week with a write-up. So, hey, maybe they're starting to right the ship a little bit, but I'm not interested in fading Monmouth. They're well-coached. They're feisty. I think that one's a stay away from me.
Northern Iowa at Drake. This one's from Bram. Drake -8. Matt, again, big spread, but I'm not fading Drake, man. They are a true wagon right now in the Missouri Valley. And I love UNI usually. It's weird to see this spread and think back at some other UNI spreads over the past non-conference season, right?
I think this is a spot where you don't need to be afraid to fade Drake.
Ooh.
Both teams kind of an in-state rivalry there, and I think Northern Iowa's just playing really well. Like Nate Heisey has emerged as their best player. It's sort of set everything else into place on the pecking order. It's a team that just profiles as a good road team, right? I think the Valley home courts are strong, but I like Ben Jacobson coach teams on the road. They rebound, control tempo, take care of the ball. If they make shots, they should be in this game.
Actually, in a similar vein, I liked Bradley today, Jim, on the road against Indiana State. This question's from Joe, but Indiana State at home this season is insane against the spread cover margin. So I said, no thanks. I don't need to bet Bradley in this spot, even though it's 7.5 points.
Yeah, it feels high. With Connor Hickman, this is just a completely different team, like unrecognizable from when they don't have Hickman. So I think they're capable of staying feisty and competitive there. But man, Indiana State's just been so good, and like they can put a 10-0, 15-0 on you so fast that it's tough to fade. But maybe I'll play Bradley small.
Matt, I assume Gadari Richmond's out because Marquette's a 9.5 point favorite against Seton Hall. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's too high. Marquette's not healthy enough to be laying 10, I don't think. That's my issue.
If Richmond's out, I think they are.
Then, yeah, that's the whole thing. I still think even without him, they can probably, in a Shaheen Holloway type of dog muck it up way, make this game closer than it should be. But I wouldn't back Seton Hall without Richmond for sure.
I think this turns into Marquette whipping Texas. I think revenge angle too. They already lost at Seton Hall. I think they're angry.
A big rivalry right now, not officially, but it feels like both fan bases hate each other. I know there's a lot of hatred that stems from the Marcus Foster, Miles Powell era Marquette fans and Seton Hall fans.
Marcus who?
Marcus Howard
Miles.
and Miles Powell.
Not
Marcus
Marcus
Howard
Foster.
and Miles Powell. Thank you.
Jim from Matt in the chat. I actually like Campbell today. +10, +10.5.
I
like
Campbell's.
Campbell today hosting
Then
Charleston.
you take this then. You take this.
I can't really explain. They've been playing a lot better, man. A lot better. I like the over as well. But Anthony Doros has been great.
Do you get a letdown from Campbell from having John Fanta in the building last game and not having him this time?
No, that was wild to hear him. I love that CBS Sports is doing all those mid-major games. It's fantastic. Yeah, I like Campbell.
Why did the market bet Elon to oblivion against Campbell last game? I thought that was ridiculous. So I don't know. I feel like they saw something there.
I don't know. They like their Elon Phoenix. Okay, Matt, you get your real alma mater, Indiana, going to Illinois. When's the last time Indiana's been a 15-point dog in conference play, especially at Illinois?
This is sort of
15 points.
Do you think Indiana can win this game? Like, do you think they can? If you don't, then you're basically betting on a team that's going to scrap and claw for 40 minutes. And I think like there might be a little bit of quit factor in IU, just given how this year's gone. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching here. It's an insane number to lay, Jim. I'm not going to lay it, but unless you really think Indiana has a chance to win this game, I would not bet Indiana.
Yeah, Illinois off a loss, but OT. So I don't know. I feel like maybe Illinois second half, depending on where the game is.
I can't believe it's 15-point spread. I get it, but I can't believe it. Okay, Jim, Scott, Samford, and ETSU. Samford, of course, off the Furman loss, their first loss in like 18 games. They're laying 5.5 on the road.
Yeah, I think Samford bounces back. I saw someone in the chat ask about that, and I think they do. I think that kind of top three, I guess top four in the SoCon is really separating itself, and ETSU is not in that group. So I think you get a monster Stanford effort from a much more talented team.
Yeah, I like Stanford a lot here too. Market disagrees. Down to 5.
5.5.
East Tennessee State's not great. I'm out on the Bucks, I think.
Matt, you get the Ivy question again. That's just how it works out.
Good.
You get
Smartest guy in
from
the room
Nash.
gets the smartest handicaps. In the
He
room.
asks,
Sure,
why is Penn only -1.5?
It's a great question.
At Columbia.
It's a good spot for Columbia. Like they really they've been off for a week, I believe, back at home, now healthy.
They're not a bad
played,
team.
And they played pretty well against Princeton last time out. I lean Penn. I get it. It's too short a number, but Penn's still too young, and I can't trust them unless they're fully healthy with us.
Penn without Slacker has sucked.
Yeah, they've just been bad. Yeah. Slacker means more than I thought.
All right, Jim. Big West again. Bakersfield at Fullerton from Julian.
Do I have to?
Fullerton laying 4.5. Tell you what I did. I took the ugly under.
Shake and bake, Jim. Are they back? Are the runners back?
Probably solid under. I mean, this is one where preseason I would think this line's insane. I thought Fullerton was going to be pretty darn good. Have not been. I thought Bakersfield was going to stink. They have not stunk. So I still lean Fullerton stubbornly, but Big West has been challenging for me, and I'm not betting it.
I'm telling you, Matt, it's not on purpose, but Kyle asks about Yale at Harvard. Yale now laying 6.5. That's pretty big, but Harvard's been a dumpster despite getting Ajibor back.
It's two teams heading in different directions. The only hope for Harvard is that they're at home. It's another extra how many days off for Malik Mack coming out of that mono diagnosis. We talked about how he'd probably be slow to get back to his full form, and he is awesome. Like, this team has to have him at his best for them to be competitive in this game. They are healthier up front too. I think the spot favors Harvard. I did take Harvard small. I cannot tell you how less confident I am in that bet though. I don't like it. Yale's good.
I lean your way. Jim, Syracuse from Jeffrey. Syracuse, NC State. It's a pick at Syracuse. Preseason, this is nuts in my opinion.
Yeah, I like Syracuse. I still think that team's pretty solid at home. NC State's not disciplined enough to make that kind of dribble drive reliant offense tough to guard. So yeah, I think Syracuse bounces back after the loss to Florida State.
All right, Matt, from Julian, you get Greensboro and Mercer. Actually, I'll take this one. Greensboro by 1 million. I like UNC Greensboro -11,
no pressure.
-12.
Hard agree. Great gut bet. Agree.
All right, Jim, let's talk Mizzou real quick in the Battle of Columbia. Our Tigers are they're on the road at South Carolina. Come down a little bit, 5.5, 6-point spread. I wouldn't back Mizzou ever, personally.
I love Mizzou first half. South Carolina, maybe a slight hangover after smashing Kentucky. Mizzou's been really competitive in first halves this year, but they let go of the rope in the second half pretty much every game. So if you're going to back Mizzou, I think you go first half. Otherwise, no thanks.
All right, Matt, Wilmington at Stony Brook. Wilmington laying 4.5 on the road.
I think Stoney's been feisty. I've been kind of singing their praises in a covert fashion in our group chat, but this is a short number. Wilmington's really good. I think it's actually a low-scoring rock fight. Kind of we should work in Stony Brook's favor, but I took the under here, 1-4. I think it's really, really low, slow-paced.
Jim, from Patty Pat, we got Villanova and Butler. Butler, a favorite here, -1.5. Villanova, Kyle Neptune. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this is where I think it's hard to figure out, but I think you get a good effort from Villanova here.
I agree.
Just got absolutely smoked by St. John's. They've been zigging and zagging, tough to figure out enough, but I think this is Nova's game, even with Butler playing okay lately.
Matt, this game is very fun. From Eric, James Madison and App State, the battle for the Sun Belt. App State -1.5. James Madison has not been a dog in quite some time. Your thoughts?
A little revenge from the, I would say, rather shocking home loss that James Madison suffered at the hands of App State. Now App State gets them back at home to complete the sweep. I think JMU goes into the boonies, the mountains of Boone, North Carolina, and gets win today. So
tough place to win. Ask Auburn.
Tough place to win, but I'm with you. I think that road flip-flop thing works in the favor of the Dukes and Mark Byington and the boys.
I'm eating appetizers today. Appetizer steak.
Wow. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Matt, you might have an opinion on this game too, actually. St. Mary's, LMU from Kelly. St. Mary's, big favorite, -16. Thoughts?
Yeah, I laid it, and I don't feel good about it because LMU's sort of been the kryptonite to St. Mary's the last few years. I just think this year's LMU team doesn't have like those crazy shot-making guards of prior years, and the way SMC, St. Mary's SMC, the Gales are cooking right now. I think they keep rolling today. So I laid it. Big number, but I laid it.
American and Colgate from Noah. I'll tell you what, I like American. And I don't want to fade Colgate, Jim, and Patriot, so I didn't. But I lean heavy towards American here. Colgate's not the same team they were.
Kadari Richmond is confirmed out. Breaking news. Kadari Richmond is confirmed out to not make the trip.
Yeah, I think people know that. There's no way it's 9
Yeah,
out of 10 with it.
Pretty dumb that it's only reported now if he didn't make the trip. How do we not know about that? Like
people
officially out yesterday. Yeah, Kai, I don't have a side take in this game. I think you get a lot of points though, which is very rare for a Patriot game. I like the over in that game.
All right.
American Colgate to remind the people.
Sean Matt asks about McNeese hosting New Orleans. Personally, I think there's a lot of points in this game, but they're laying 18 at home. Your thoughts?
Would not lay 18. I like New Orleans here. I said it. Maybe I'm overly stubborn in my fade McNeese in the Southland, but like when I think it's McNeese laying huge numbers, they don't need to win by huge numbers. They just need to win. And I think these games can get a little bit ugly and mucky, and people are hyped to play McNeese like this is the game they circle, whether it's home or road. I would take the 19. I don't think Noah's very good, but I think I'd take the 19.
McNeese is 1-5 against the spread in league play to support Matt.
Wow, Pat's saying NIL issue with Richmond? That would make sense. I mean, I bet Seton Hall against Providence and Richmond's announced out and shoot around. I'm bitching about it. Yeah, so what? Okay, Jim, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, -9, the Hokies at home.
This one I just looked at, made my number, and didn't have a single feeling at all in my gut or heart. So I moved on. Probably would lean Georgia Tech, but absolutely nothing strong.
Matt, you get the America East battle. Vermont, Bryant for first place. Vermont's laying 2.5 on the road. They took care of UMass Lowell. Can they do it the same to Bryant?
Nope, Bryant gets him today. I said Bryant's good. I've been defending my FAU Owls as that loss, not aging as a bad loss. I think Bryant wins today. They moved to 6-0, and we learned slowly but surely that Phil Martelli Jr. has a pretty nice little squad working up there in Bryant today.
Tough spot for Vernon or for Vermont coming off the Lowell game.
Yeah, OT win.
They eat Vermin, Jim, the Catamounts. All right, 2 more games, and then we'll do our best bets. Jim, Baylor TCU. This one's flown under the radar. Baylor's laying 4.5 against the Horned Frogs.
Yeah, Horned Frogs have been feisty on the road. They have not been like just completely surrendering. We're in the game at Iowa State. Probably should have won at Kansas. OT lost at Cincinnati, won at Oklahoma State. So I'm not going to just like crown a Big 12 home court here. I think this one stays kind of close, but I also feels gross, but I like the under. I think both teams are playing slower in league play, and I think you get lower possession. So under for me.
Calculated, we've talked at least 50 games right now. So good job to you both. Scott asks about High Point and Winthrop, and we'll also get one more from Andrew here at the end. Jim, Big South, I'll go to you.
Is Duke Miles playing? I don't know. That matters a lot for High Point. He's really good. Keza Giffa has been like all world without him, gets to the line at will, but I'm not betting High Point unless Duke Miles is in there.
Okay, Matt, we'll end with Andrew's Pitt at Miami. Pitt is heading to Miami. Miami's laying 4.5. Again, preseason, crazy spread.
Major injury issues here for Miami, but yep. I can't lay. I'm sorry, I can't take Pitt. The market already bet this down. I think I leaned Pitt at the opening number, but can't. It's too short to bet road Jeff Capel and this pumpkin Pitt team on the road.
With Cleveland probably not playing, Omir's banged up. Like, yeah, that's a tough one to figure.
All right, we did it through the mob. We got best bets now, Jim. We have over 150 likes, so thank you very much, people out there, for doing that for us. Jim, kick us off.
Recapping the one I already gave out, that was Houston -15, and I got a couple of overs. Milwaukee and Oakland. I think that one gets way up and down. Milwaukee games are very fun to bet over, and Oakland is also moving in league play. So I got to double check the number on that. And VCU Davidson also taking the over. Again, 2 teams playing faster in league play. Maybe you get Zeb Jackson back in there for VCU. They're playing more guards. They're not playing their best defenders anymore because Bamisile and Bairstow are back. So I think a lot of points. 138.5 on VCU Davidson and 155 for Oakland Milwaukee. Those are my numbers.
Matthew.
Love it. I gave out 2, Florida State, Washington State, and a third trifecta home dog today. I'm taking Wyoming, the Pokes, who are playing better basketball, I'm inclined to believe, against the Rams of Colorado State, who we still like, but honestly have not been as, I would say, consistent since they got all their pieces back, Lake and Strong, namely. I just like Wyoming at home here. Mason Walters, they say he's kind of fully healthy now. He's rounded into form. Jeff Linder speaking positively about his boys. I just think they get this win. Vintage home dog spot. Went to this well against Nevada last game for the Pokes. I think they get another good effort here at home.
All right, I'm going to go with a fun one because I just want to have fun. Tipping in 4 minutes, Providence. I'm going Providence, man. Minus 10, 10.5. It came down a little bit. I don't know why. I'll take it. Providence, minus 10, minus 10.5. It's going to be an incredible environment. I really just want you to watch the game, even if the bet loses. Just watch the game.
I will watch it. I will turn my volume all the way up, Kai.
Yes. All right, Jim.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Chat Mob, well done. We almost went the full hour, talked 50+ games. Don't have the official announcement on the show returning, but hopefully very, 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 very soon for daily 3-man weave. But that's it. Watch as many games as you can. Yes, in the chat, Houston is one of my best bets. I said that already. That's it. All right. We will see you guys Wednesday back on this channel for our podcast. Enjoy all the ball.